Joining me now is Dusty Nicol. He's the CEO of Honey Badger Silver. Great to see you, sir.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
So the company's interesting in that the company insists, and you insist, that we're not a miner, we're not an explorer, but we're a silver mineral asset aggregator. And Honey Badger has a theory that eventually silver is going to get to, call it $100 an ounce. So let's start there. How and why does it get to $100 an ounce?
Well, as you know, traditionally silver has followed gold. Gold has been going through the roof lately. Silver is lagging behind. So we think it's just a matter of time before it catches up to its historical valuation relative to gold. One of the things that I think makes silver very interesting and accelerates the price of silver is that it shares with gold its commercial behavior as a precious metal, as an investment metal, as a hedge against difficult times and so on. But it's also an industrial metal. It has tremendous applications for obviously anything electrical. It's one of the best conductors in the world. It will be indispensable for whether you want to call it the green economy, the dream economy. It's going to be an indispensable part, and the physical demand for silver will continue to increase. So I actually think that Chad's prediction of $100 an ounce is probably conservative. When will it get there? I always say my crystal ball is no better than yours. If it were, I wouldn't still be doing geology for a living, but I think it's just a matter of time.
Okay. And by Chad, you mean Chad Williams, of course, chairman of Honey Badger, founder of Red Cloud as well. We'll talk a little bit more about him in just a second. So 7 projects: Yukon, Northwest Territory, Nunavut. The newest project is Yava deposit in Nunavut. And Yava's location is interesting, and its potential, because it's near Glencore's Hackett River. So that's a nearly 300 million ounce resource, indicated and inferred, correct?
Yeah, it's actually one of the largest undeveloped silver resources in the world. It's only 45 kilometers from Yava. And Yava is a very good example of our strategy and how we implement it. It's a 45 kilometers from a huge deposit, has tremendous exploration potential, very good jurisdiction, very good geologic location, but in the current market, it's not economic. We were able to buy it for something like 8 cents per ounce of contained silver, and all of that in paper of the company. So our plan is there. We'll hold it. At the right time, we'll perhaps do some exploration on it, but probably we'll hold it. And at the right time, when silver goes up, we'll invite other people to do exploration on it. Eventually, I think it has every potential to be as large as Hackett River. And it's a great project, acquired very, very cheaply. So it's a good example of what we do in this company. We pick up silver in the ground cheaply when it has potential to grow and become economic.
At what price would Yava become economic, roughly?
It's too early to say. Right now it's a resource. It would need a PEA to be done on it. I wouldn't want to speculate. One of my mentors early in my career always said, develop the resource and then engineer it. So.
Right. Very prudent. Good idea. Good thought. Now, you've managed to get a hold of the historical data at Nanisivik. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes,
Nanisivik. Okay. So that's a past producer. Could be 100 million ounce resource as well. Can you give us some more details there?
Yeah, and again, it's a very good example of what we do in this company. We staked Nanisivik. Actually, before I arrived at the company, Chad Williams staked it, based on the idea that the silver and zinc that came out of Nanisivik in the last 25 years of the last century was part of what is an over 100 million ton massive sulfide deposit. So we picked it up knowing that there was potential for a large unmined deposit just on the basis of proximity to the previous resource. We then were able to get, and it was through connections, friends of friends, a chance encounter at a golf course, we're able to get our hands on the data package of all of the geophysics and particularly all of the drilling that was done at Nanisivik while it was in production. That
sorry, that was at no cost, correct?
No cost.
Yeah.
Actually, the cost was probably a pint of beer at one point, but essentially no cost. It would probably cost $40 to $45 million to create that data package today, That gave us several indications of high-grade silver mineralization within that massive sulfide. We're still evaluating it. We're still looking at the geophysics and assessing how many targets we have. It's literally a treasure trove of information and data. And then beyond that, there's this is something I like to emphasize about Nanisivik. Beyond the silver content, there are historical indications of germanium and gallium occurrences within that massive sulfide, which are these days considered critical metals and would not have been of interest when the deposit was being mined. And again, beyond that, there's 100 million tons of massive sulfide, mostly as pyrite, within 2 or 3 kilometers of a new deep water port. With the impending sulfuric acid shortage that a number of people predict, that 100 million tons of massive sulfide will probably become economic as a source of sulfur for sulfuric acid. I mean, already the Central Asian uranium producers are forecasting decreases in production due to a shortage of sulfuric acid for their processing plants. So that massive sulfide alone, even before the silver and other metal credits, could have tremendous economic value. And again, we picked that up for, I think, $14,000 in staking costs.
Wow. And so lots of optionality there, of course. Now, in terms of the stock, Dusty, Honey Badger has been either outperforming or tracking silver pretty well the last 6 months or so. What do you think the market's impression is of your story?
I think the market is just beginning to understand what our story is. We've been viewed traditionally as an exploration company, and I emphasize that although we occasionally do exploration only when it's on the steepest part of the value addition curve, we are not an exploration company. We're different from the 3,500 or so other junior explorers. We're aggregating silver. I've only been CEO less than a year now, maybe about a year. I think we're finally able to get the story out in a way that the market understands and appreciates, and I think we'll continue to track and indeed outperform the silver price.
Just back to Chad Williams, again, the chairman of Honey Badger, founder of Red Cloud, chairman there as well. He says investors should think in the future, be patient. So can you sort of just sum up, you were doing it there a little bit, but sum up what appears to be the unique value proposition at Honey Badger?
I think what makes us unique is we are aggregating at very low price, and therefore with minimal share issuance and minimal dilution, quality silver assets that will be worth a great deal of money when the price of silver goes up. At that time, we'll spin them off to let other people do the exploration on them, but we'll keep a royalty. And what we will eventually become is a silver royalty and streaming company through a minimally dilutional path. And I think that is what makes us unique.
So that's the long-term vision. Great stuff. Nice to talk to you, Dusty.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Dusty Nicol, he's the CEO of Honey Badger Silver.